Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your morning briefing for Wednesday, the 22nd of October, 2025. This is Robert staying in for Mike, and we're going to get started with the domestic sitrep. According to government records and a source familiar with the matter, the Trump administration has created what they're calling the Interagency Weaponization Working Group, which has been, according to these records, meeting since May. And this group is investigating the political weaponization of federal agencies under previous administrations. And this does include officials from the Department of Justice, CIA, FBI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, and other federal agencies. Late last night at 10:37 p.m. Eastern, the U.S. Secret Service said that a vehicle rammed the Secret Service vehicle gate at the White House, and they said they did arrest the driver and an investigation is ongoing, but I have not seen any updates yet on any motive for this person attempting to run through the gate. As you can see in this image, the vehicle gate to the west, on the west side of the White House complex. Yesterday, House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan referred former CIA Director John Brennan to the Department of Justice for charges of lying to Congress. He said Brennan lied to Congress 3 separate times about the Crossfire Hurricane investigation into President Donald Trump. And then on the domestic side, over where we're conducting a mid-decade redistricting watch, North Carolina has approved a new mid-decade map, and this is coming out of the North Carolina State Senate, who voted yesterday to approve this map, which would flip one of their Democrat-held seats to a likely Republican seat in 2026. And the North Carolina State House is expected to vote to approve the map this week. Also, when we move over to the high side, we're going to talk in more detail about this, but an independent journalist published an alleged leak memo that directs the establishment of National Guard reaction forces in all states and territories no later than the 1st of April, 2026. And Jared, if you could come on and take us through the global sitrep, please.
Absolutely. So Israeli media reports that the Trump administration is keeping extreme pressure on the Netanyahu administration in Israel in order to maintain the ceasefire, and that without it, they probably would not. They're even going so far as to refer to it as BB sitting. Now, this is due to the fact that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are basically always there. President Trump was just there 8 days ago. Vice President Vance was just there yesterday, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be there next week. So it is a constant pressure. Moving over to the Philippines, the U.S. and Philippine Coast Guards began a 3-year maritime law enforcement training program last week. The program aims to improve Philippine performance, basically bring them up to a modern Coast Guard level, and enhance U.S. Coast Guard integration in the region. China's commerce minister held a call with his Dutch and European counterparts in order to attempt to reestablish control over Nexperia after the Dutch seized that company last week. And then Japan's prime minister was formally sworn in as the prime minister, and she's expected to announce a new set of defense policies at her speech on Friday, and also already called for moving the National Defense Review forward by 2 years to 2025. It was scheduled to go to 2027. The new foreign minister, as part of her administration, says that the Japanese administration wants to show President Trump that Japan still has determination in the war effort. Now, Japan's already on track to meet NATO's 2% defense spending floor that now is obsolete, and I think they're likely to accelerate to the 5% just to continue matching it, maintain a high level of alliance there. And this is even despite public concerns about their national debt. So Japan, I think, very clearly is prioritizing war preparations over economic stability ahead of 2027. And lastly, U.S. officials speaking anonymously to Axios claim that they have stopped trying to set up the second Trump-Putin summit that was touted quite a bit last week. Now, the report claims that the administration could not actually reconcile the Russian and Ukrainian positions, and the White House did say that they are not going to have the Secretary of State and Russia's foreign minister meet anymore, which is normally a prerequisite meeting for heads of state.
All right, thank you for that, Jared. Let's move on to our demonstrations today. We're tracking 88 protests, which is above the baseline, the weekly baseline for the weekdays, and remains that way. But we are past the No Kings 2.0, so I think this will be much more what we see more often during the week now. will be these lower level numbers rather than the 2,700 roughly protests we saw over the weekend. And if you could move on to the next slide, please, Jared. When we get to the high side of the show, we're going to cover more details on the National Guard Quick Reaction Forces. We're also going to cover a couple of developments going on in Illinois and Chicago, and also a new DHS operation in the Rio Grande Valley, and then a report back from some of these far left groups that participated in No Kings 2.0 protests. And if you'd like to get more information and more intelligence on these developments, you can join us at forwardobserver.com/trial, where you can get a free 7-day trial to get access to the high side brief. And Jared, if you could please take us to the high side.